Chosen one, this message has reached you at the perfect moment, not by chance, not by coincidence. This is divine timing in motion. You didn't stumble upon this by accident. You were guided here because you've been through a test few could endure. A silent, painful, soul-shaping exam that felt invisible to the world but not to God. This message is your confirmation. You didn't just survive, you passed. And not by taking shortcuts, not by compromising your character, but by staying true, standing firm, and trusting even when it hurt. There are moments in life when everything feels like a test, a relentless storm that never seems to end. Pain, loss, betrayal, loneliness, financial struggles, delayed dreams. You've been through them all. And still, here you are, standing, breathing, hoping. That's not by accident. It's by divine design. You weren't being punished. You were being tested. And what's even more powerful, you passed. Not by shortcuts, not by manipulation, but by enduring, trusting, and staying true. This is your story. This is your rise. This is your reminder that you were chosen not for ease, but for excellence. Let's break this down into 7 chapters that reveal what this journey truly meant, and why you're stronger than you even realize. Before we begin, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe, because this message is for the chosen ones, ready to rise from rejection and pain into power and purpose. If this message stirs something in you, drop the number 77 in the comments. It's more than a number. It's a signal to the universe that you're aligned, awakened, and ready for what's yours. Only the truly chosen will stay until the end, and those who do will gain clarity, strength, and the breakthrough they've been waiting for. Truth unfolds with every listen, so rewatch this video as often as needed. Each time, a deeper part of you will rise. Number 1, the exam nobody saw coming. Life has a way of testing us without warning. There are no announcements, no alerts, no guidebooks handed out to help you prepare. One day, everything feels normal. You're going about your routine, believing things are under control. And then, like a sudden shift in the wind, everything changes. The storm rolls in without explanation. People you loved walk away. Plans fall apart. Bills stack up. Prayers seem to go unanswered. And you find yourself standing in the middle of a personal battlefield you never expected. But here's the thing. No one else could see the war you were fighting. You wore a brave face. You smiled when you wanted to scream. You showed up when you were falling apart inside. The world saw strength, but they didn't see the silent nights, the tears on your pillow, the weight you carried all alone. You kept moving, even when everything inside you was begging to give up. And yes, you doubted yourself. You questioned why this was happening. You asked God, why me? You felt abandoned. You felt forgotten. But through it all, something deep within you refused to let go. A quiet voice buried under all the noise and pain whispered, "Hold on. Not yet. Don't quit." That voice wasn't just your own. That was God reminding you that this wasn't your ending. It was your exam. The hardest one you've ever faced, not of facts or formulas, but of faith, character, and strength. This was the kind of test that revealed who you really are when everything else is stripped away. And that's what most people don't understand. The exam God gives isn't about what you know, it's about what you carry. It's about how you respond when nothing makes sense. It's about staying true when it's easier to compromise. It's about standing firm when it would be easier to fall. The real test is in the unseen, in the silence, in the struggle, in the solitude. You didn't see it coming, but it came anyway. And while it shook you, it didn't destroy you, because deep down you had something most people don't. Unshakable grit, quiet faith, a fire that refused to burn out. You didn't collapse under the pressure even when it felt like you might. You didn't betray your principles, even when no one was watching. That's how you passed the first part of the test. What you didn't know then, but are starting to realize now, is that every tear was counted, every sleepless night was witnessed, and every sacrifice was recorded. You weren't being broken. You were being built. You weren't being punished. You were being prepared. This was the first chapter in your becoming, and you passed the hardest part. Showing up. You endured when walking away would have been easier. You stood your ground when your foundation was shaking. You kept your heart soft even when life tried to harden it. And that chosen one was proof of who you are. Not what people say, not what your past says, but what God already knew. You are ready for more. And the exam was never meant to break you. It was meant to reveal you. Number 2, silence in the storm. There's a kind of silence that doesn't just fill the room, it fills your soul. It's the silence that comes after you've cried out to God with everything inside you and you hear nothing in return. No answer, no direction, no breakthrough, just silence, not even a whisper. You begged for a sign. You pleaded for relief. You asked for just one word, one indication that God saw you, that He hadn't forgotten you. But the skies stayed quiet. The doors stayed closed. And time seemed to stretch on without any sense of movement. That silence can feel like the loudest rejection. It can feel like abandonment. It can make you wonder if your prayers were pointless, if your faith was misplaced. But here's the truth most people miss. That silence wasn't a sign of God's absence. It was a sign of His attention. He was watching, closely, intentionally, because just like a teacher is silent during a test, God was observing how you would respond when you couldn't hear His voice. Would you still believe? Would you still obey? Would you still trust Him when nothing made sense? And you did. You didn't understand, but you kept going. You didn't feel Him, but you kept praying. You didn't see a way, but you kept walking. That kind of faith, the faith that moves forward in the dark, is rare, and it's powerful. That's the kind of faith that can't be faked. It's born in silence, forged in stillness, strengthened by solitude. In that silence, you met yourself. You discovered the strength you didn't know you had. You learned how to stand without support. You learned how to breathe through anxiety, how to rise above fear, how to move without a map. And in the deepest part of that storm, you realized that even in silence, God was shaping you. He was stretching your endurance. He was refining your character. He was removing your dependence on everything and everyone else, until your faith wasn't based on feelings, but on truth. You came to understand that silence doesn't mean rejection. It means the test is active. It means heaven is waiting to see what you will do next. It means you've reached the part of your journey where your strength is no longer in question. It's being proven. And still you walked forward, not because it was easy, not because you had answers, but because somewhere inside something told you to trust anyway. That quiet strength, that unshaken belief was part of the exam. And you passed. Not because you shouted the loudest, but because you endured the quiet. Not because you had all the answers, but because you still chose to believe when there were none. And in that storm, wrapped in divine silence, you didn't just survive. You grew. Number 3, no shortcuts, no compromises. When life pushes people to the edge, many take shortcuts. Some lie to escape consequences, others fake who they are just to be accepted. Some manipulate, deceive, and step on anyone in their way just to get ahead. In a world where winning often matters more than how you won, compromise becomes the easy option. Integrity becomes optional. Truth becomes blurry. The pressure to succeed, to survive, to prove yourself can push even the best of people to bend their values just to make it through. But you chose a different path. You could have taken the shortcut. You could have played the game like everyone else. You could have become cold and bitter, shutting your heart to the world. You could have retaliated. You could have done to others what they did to you, abandoned, betrayed, lied, and manipulated your way to some illusion of success. But you didn't. You stood your ground. You held on to your values even when it cost you time, opportunities, relationships, and sleep. You stayed true to who you are. That's not weakness. That's power. It takes unimaginable strength to remain kind in a cruel world. It takes courage to choose character over convenience. And it takes a chosen soul to walk the high road when the low road looks faster and easier. People may not have seen what you resisted. They didn't know the options you turned down, the shortcuts you refused, the temptations you overcame. But heaven saw, God saw. And that's what this chapter of your exam was about. Not just enduring the storm, but enduring it without losing your soul. Because anyone can look good on the outside. Anyone can chase success and play pretend. But few can walk through the fire and come out with their integrity intact. You didn't take the easy way out. You didn't trade your truth for temporary comfort. You didn't become someone else to gain approval or avoid pain. You made the difficult choice, the lonely choice, to do things the right way even when no one applauded it. Integrity is rare. It doesn't shine as quickly as status or wealth, but it has a value that can't be bought or faked. When you choose integrity, you're choosing to carry your purpose with honor. You're choosing to build something that will last, not something that looks good today but crumbles tomorrow. You're choosing the eternal over the temporary. You've shown that you're not just capable of success, you're capable of worthy success. The kind that doesn't cost you your conscience. The kind that doesn't destroy your peace. The kind that makes heaven smile. Because here's the truth. Anyone can survive, but not everyone can survive with their soul intact. Not everyone can look in the mirror and say, I didn't sell out. I didn't lose myself trying to win. That's what made you different. That's what made you chosen. You didn't just pass the exam. You passed with honor. You crossed through fire and came out clean. You stayed real when it would have been easier to fake it. And that kind of strength, that kind of quiet nobility, that's not taught. That's something God placed deep inside you. And now, because you didn't compromise, because you stayed rooted in truth, your foundation is unshakable. What you're building can't be torn down. What you're becoming can't be undone. Your reward isn't just what's coming next. It's who you became in the process. Strong, pure, steadfast, chosen. Number 4, the breaking that built you. Let's be real. It almost broke you. There were moments when you didn't know how much more you could take. The weight of it all felt like it would crush you. You were exhausted, physically and mentally. Every day felt like another battle, another mountain to climb, another storm to weather. Your body was drained, your spirit felt hollow, and your heart ached with confusion. Some days, it felt like the world was doing its best to break you, like you were being punished for doing things the right way, for being good, when the world around you seemed to reward the opposite. You couldn't understand why the pain wouldn't end. You couldn't make sense of why the storm kept raging even though you were doing everything right. The questions piled up. The doubt started creeping in. You wondered, why me? Why does this hurt so much? You looked around, and it seemed like others were getting ahead, living their lives without the constant weight you were carrying. It wasn't fair. You felt alone. The emotional and physical toll left you questioning how much longer you could keep going. But what was really happening? You weren't breaking down. You were being broken open. God wasn't trying to destroy you. He was revealing the hidden strength inside of you. He wasn't punishing you. He was preparing you. You were being stretched beyond your comfort zone, pulled into a new version of yourself that you couldn't yet see. And though it hurt, this was the necessary part of the process. A diamond doesn't form without immense pressure. Gold doesn't shine without being refined by fire. And a chosen one doesn't rise without being tested. The pressure you felt wasn't meant to break you. It was meant to shape you, to mold you into the person you were always meant to be. It was chiseling away at the things that were holding you back. The fear, the doubt, the insecurities. It was refining your character, sharpening your resilience, and deepening your faith. With every tear, with every trial, you were being forged into something more beautiful, more powerful, and more capable than you could have ever imagined. You see, the breaking isn't the end. It's the beginning of something incredible. You weren't just enduring the pain, you were growing through it. Every challenge you faced, every setback, every heartbreak, it was all part of the process that led you to this moment. And while it may have hurt, it was necessary. You couldn't have reached the heights you're destined for without going through the valley. That's the secret most people miss. Growth doesn't come from comfort. Strength doesn't come from ease. It comes from struggle. It comes from facing the storm when all you want to do is run from it. It comes from standing tall, even when you feel like you're being torn apart. And now, you're stronger because of it. You're wiser, more resilient, more grounded in your purpose. You've shed the layers that were never meant to be part of you. And what remains is pure, unshakable. You've emerged from the fire with a clarity and strength that can't be undone. A chosen one doesn't rise without being tested. You don't become who you were meant to be without being broken open, without enduring the fire. But now the flames have passed, and you've emerged. The diamond inside you has been revealed. The gold in your soul is shining brighter than ever. What you've gone through has only prepared you for what's next. The hardest part is over. The foundation has been laid. And now, with all that you've learned, all that you've become, you are ready. Ready to step into your destiny. Ready to live the life you were born to live. And you're just getting started. Number 5, hidden grades, heavenly promotion. You didn't get applause. There were no loud cheers, no standing ovations. No one clapped when you forgave those who hurt you. No one noticed when you kept moving forward despite the weight you were carrying. The world may have overlooked your quiet sacrifices, your silent strength, and your moments of vulnerability. You didn't receive a trophy for doing the right thing when it would have been easier to walk away. The praise you deserved never came. But that didn't mean it went unnoticed. Heaven was watching. God was grading your test, not based on how well you performed on the outside, not based on what others could see, but on your perseverance. The unseen choices. The times you chose kindness when anger wanted to take over. The days you chose to heal instead of hold grudges. The moments when you kept moving forward even when you felt like falling. It wasn't about the applause, the recognition, or the rewards. It was about your heart, your faith, and your unwavering commitment to rise above it all, despite the hurt and the hardship. And though you didn't hear it, the most important applause was already happening in heaven. God saw your struggle. He saw your courage. He saw your heart, your efforts, your sacrifices, and that's when the real promotion began. The promotion that no one could take away from you. The promotion that didn't come with a paycheck or a new title, but with something far more powerful, divine elevation. Because when you passed, something began to shift. Doors that were once closed began to open. The things that felt impossible, that seemed out of reach, started coming into focus. Peace began to flood your soul. A peace that wasn't dependent on circumstances, but on the quiet assurance that you were on the right path. The noise of the world started to fade, and in that silence, you found your true purpose. The purpose that had always been there, waiting for you to claim it. That purpose is now speaking louder than ever. It's guiding you forward. God honors faithfulness in silence. He sees every tear you've shed, every prayer you've whispered, every step you've taken in faith, even when no one else was watching. He sees the heart behind the actions, the sacrifices made in secret, the decisions made when no one was around to congratulate you or tell you it was worth it. And that's where the real promotion lies. Not in the praise of people, but in the blessing of knowing that heaven has your back, your faithfulness, your perseverance, your character. That's what elevates you. That's what makes you truly seen. So while you didn't get the applause from the world, heaven was standing at attention, and now the doors are opening, the peace is flowing, the purpose is awakening. You passed. And God never forgets faithfulness in silence. His timing is perfect, and now you'll see the fruits of everything you've endured. You are truly being promoted from within, and in ways that will be seen by all. Number 6, the chosen walk alone before they lead crowds. You always wondered why you felt different, why people left you, why you never quite fit in, no matter how hard you tried. You saw others moving forward while you were stuck in uncertainty. The loneliness felt unbearable, as though you were walking a path no one else understood. But deep down, you sensed your story was different. It's because chosen ones are separated before they are elevated. The path of the chosen isn't easy. Chosen ones are set apart, not because of punishment, but because of purpose. There is a season of isolation, a time when you feel alone against the world. You may feel abandoned or misunderstood, but what you didn't know is that separation was necessary for your elevation. In that solitude, you began to discover who you truly are. Without distractions, your vision would become clear. Isolation isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's a space for you to grow into the person you were meant to be. To lead, you must first learn to walk alone. You had to face your fears, your doubts, without relying on others' approval. You had to stand tall in your own strength and hear your soul above the noise. This was a season of refining, not loneliness. You had to walk alone so you could find your own voice, one shaped by truth, not others' opinions. You had to listen to your heart before listening to others' needs. It's in silence that you discover your purpose and find strength. You realized you were never truly alone. You were just being prepared for something greater, so you could lead others later. In solitude, you gathered wisdom, clarity, and courage to lead. Those you will lead will be drawn to your authenticity and faith. You couldn't lead from emptiness. You had to fill yourself with your own wisdom and vision, so you wouldn't be defined by validation, but by vision. You no longer seek external validation. You now stand firm in your identity, defined by the vision God has placed in your heart. You've become who you were meant to be, independent of others' approval. Your vision is your compass, guiding you even when others don't understand. It will carry you to new heights while others follow. You're not behind. It may feel like you've been waiting forever, but you're not behind. You're being refined. Every moment of isolation was necessary to prepare you for leadership. You've been in the background to build strength, develop wisdom, and deepen your relationship with yourself and God. The time is coming when you will step into the light, and what once seemed like a setback will reveal itself as preparation for this moment. You're being prepared to lead in ways that will leave a lasting impact. You've been alone, but you're not anymore. The crowd will follow, not because you sought them out, but because your path and purpose will naturally attract them. You are ready now. It's your time to lead. Number 7. Now it's your turn to teach. You passed the exam. You endured what many would have collapsed under. You faced storms that tried to silence you, wounds that tried to break you, and nights that tested your faith to its core. But you didn't fold. You didn't sell out. You didn't let the pain define you. And now, you're not just a survivor, you're a guide. You carry not only scars, but wisdom. Not only memories, but messages. What you went through wasn't just for you, it was bigger than that. Every tear you cried, every prayer you whispered, every moment you kept going when everything said stop, it wasn't wasted. God doesn't waste pain. That path you walked in the dark, it's now a map for someone else. That voice you found in the silence, it's now a light for those still searching for theirs. The wisdom you gained from your wounds has the power to be someone else's healing. It was so you could help others through their tests. You know what it's like to question your worth. You know what it's like to feel invisible, forgotten, overlooked. So when someone else faces their darkest hour, you'll know what to say. Not because you studied the answers, but because you lived them. You can spot the silent battles, the fake smiles, the tired souls. You've been there, and now you've been equipped to reach back and pull others forward. Speak life. You don't need a pulpit or a platform. Your life is the message. Encourage the discouraged. Remind the weary who they are. Tell them they're not too far gone, that they're not forgotten, that their story isn't over. Speak truth with love. Be the voice you once needed to hear. Share your story, even the parts that still sting, especially the parts that still sting. Because transparency is healing. People don't need perfection. They need real. When you speak from the heart, walls come down. When you tell the truth about what you've overcome, you give others permission to do the same. Your scars prove that healing is possible. Lift others as you climb. True greatness isn't about rising above, it's about reaching back. As God elevates you, stay humble. Stay generous. Don't forget the valley once you reach the mountain. The same way you were carried through, now become the hands that carry someone else. You don't lose anything by helping others win. In fact, you multiply your impact. You're no longer just being tested. Now, you're trusted. God gives the hardest exams to the strongest students, not to break them, but to build them. And once they pass, He doesn't just reward them, He assigns them. You've proven yourself not only faithful, but ready. Now heaven sees you as a vessel, a voice, a leader, someone who's been refined and is ready to be released. God gives the hardest exams to the strongest students. And now that you've passed, He's handing you the next mission: to lead, to love, to teach, and to transform. The world is waiting, and you, chosen one, are ready. One last thing. Step into your calling. This is more than a moment. This is a divine transition. You're not just standing at the edge of change. You are being called into destiny. Everything you've been through, everything you've overcome, everything you've learned in the silence, in the pain, in the waiting, it all led here. You are not who you were when the journey began. The timid soul, the uncertain heart, the hidden warrior. That version of you was necessary for the climb, but not for the rise. You've been broken open to be rebuilt in truth. You've been stripped of illusions so you could walk in authenticity. You've been tested, pressed, refined, and now you emerge not just wiser, but unstoppable. You see now that it was never punishment. It was preparation. The loneliness had purpose. The delay had meaning. The rejection was redirection. You weren't being forgotten. You were being reserved. God didn't turn His face from you. He was setting the stage for your emergence. And now, you don't have to chase approval. You don't have to shrink to fit. You don't have to wait for permission. You were never meant to blend in. You were born to stand out, not for your ego, but for His glory. You carry something sacred. You are the answer to prayers whispered in the dark. You are the embodiment of generations who fought, hoped, and believed for something more. You are the fulfillment of promises spoken over your life that you didn't even understand at the time. And now, you are ready to live them. Let this be the season where you walk boldly. Not arrogantly, but confidently. Not for attention, but for purpose. Not to prove anything, but to fulfill everything. You are stepping into rooms that were once locked. Doors are opening not because you pushed your way in, but because you became the person worthy of walking through them. You don't need to manipulate, compete, or conform. Your authenticity is your access. Your humility is your strength. Your spirit is your strategy. There will still be challenges. There will still be critics, but they no longer shake you, because now you know who you are. You are chosen, not in theory, but in truth. Not just in spirit, but in action. You carry light. You bring healing. You shift atmospheres. Not because you're perfect, but because you're aligned. You're not walking alone anymore. But even if you were, you'd still rise. Because your confidence no longer comes from who walks with you, but from who walks within you. This is not the end of your story. It's the ignition point of something greater. You are no longer the seeker. You are now the guide. You are no longer just learning. You are now leading. You are no longer hidden. You are now revealed. The time for silence is over. The time for playing small is gone. Step fully into your calling. Speak loudly. Love deeply. Serve boldly. And never again question whether you're enough. You are more than enough. You are called, equipped, and chosen. The world is waiting for your voice, your vision, your victory. Not someday. Not one day. Now, if this message has touched your heart and you wish to support our mission of spreading God's word, click on the thanks button. No gift is too small. Your generosity, even just a penny, can bring hope and joy to someone's life. Thank you for partnering with God in this important work,